Good morning. It is 9 a.m., so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you would please take your seats. My name is Milton Jeffrey, and I'm one of the organizers here with 1 Million Cups, and I have got Courtney with me today and Brian. We'd like to welcome you all. Do we have any first-time visitors here today? If you're here, please raise your hand. All right. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Do we have any of our veterans here? All right. Welcome again. For all of you first-time visitors, 1 Million Cups is a weekly educational program hosted here by the Kauffman Foundation. Each week, we allow two presenters to come in and tell the story about their journey. The presentation is about 6 minutes, and from there, we do about 20 to 25 minutes of Q&A. During that time, we have a group of panelists that will actually start with the questions for the Q&A, and then we'll also open it up to the audience. I'd like for our panelists here to just kind of stand up and do a quick intro of themselves so that you know who they are.
I'm Adam Arredondo. I'm a co-leader of the Kansas City Startup Village, also formerly ran Local Ruckus, and now I'm co-founder and director of entrepreneurship for SEED, which is the Center of Entrepreneurial Ecosystem Development. Basically, I'm paid to be a startup community builder now, which is pretty great. We will also be operating the Village Square, which is a new co-working space that'll open in the Kansas City Startup Village by the first of the year.
I'm Toby Trogue. I'm a business development executive with Myriad Mobile. We do custom mobile apps for businesses. I've been coming to 1 Million Cups for as long as it's been going. So this is the first time they've asked me to be on the panel, which is, thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Scott Carson, and I work here at the Foundation with the Kauffman Fast Track program, and that curriculum for entrepreneurs. Thanks.
Thank you. We want to go ahead and get started. We'll begin with our first presenter, Mark Nolte from Talk to Me. He's the founder of Healthy Me, which is a virtual video conference service that provides 24/7 telehealth psychological services in HD. Let's welcome Mark.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Nolte, and my company's Talk to Me. I'd like to start out with a story this morning. Tell you about a normal guy who ends up going to college, who ends up graduating from college, gets married, has 3 kids, ends up becoming a business owner. But through all the stress of being a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, end up falling into depression. And that person I'm talking to is actually me. Several years ago, I was diagnosed with depression. Fortunately, I was able to go get help, come out of the depression, and it's a happy ending story. But for a lot of people, it's not. And this is what inspired me to start Talk to Me. For some reason, the PowerPoint. There we go. Okay. So here's the problem with psychology today. You have to present yourself in person as a patient. Secondly, you have to go during normal business hours. And third, you may have to travel long distances to get there. And this is the way it should be with technology today. You should be able to talk to your therapist online, providing counseling at your convenience. We're bringing the counselor into your home. And that's what Talk to Me is all about. So we're a virtual 24-hour service. We just through a standard interconnection, we have very low latency. You can use any device. It doesn't require expensive equipment like a Polycom system on your end and a Polycom system on the other end. It's counseling at your convenience. It's when it's convenient for you, and we're bringing the counselor into your home. We can do it for the fraction of the cost and sometimes less than what a copay is. So the other thing we offer is secure messaging. It's not text messaging, but it's secure messaging. And by the way, both of these services are HIPAA compliant and encrypted 256. So I like to tell the story about my daughters. I'm in my late 50s, and when my daughters were in middle school, they were trying to sell me on the idea of why they need a cell phone. And I told the girls, I said, girls, Dad didn't even have a cell phone until he was 35. And of course, they immediately came back and said, Dad, they didn't even have cell phones until you were 35. So now my daughters are in their 20s, and when I call them on the phone, it immediately goes into voicemail. But when I text them, they immediately text me back. So what we're targeting. We're targeting the generation, the 20, 30-year-olds and early 50s who grew up with the computers, text messaging and feel more comfortable actually text messaging more than they do verbally responding. So here's our team right here. We have Dr. Farmer, who is a PhD psychologist. We have 2 therapists who are master levels, and then we have even a life coach. So, and they're all waiting for you to schedule an appointment online with them now. If you go to our website, you can actually schedule an appointment at your convenience, and we're bringing the counselor into your home. You'll see a profile of the counselor, the picture like you saw there, a little snippet about what they feel about counseling and their actually credentials. So we cover all the categories, eating disorders, depression, marital counseling, child parental issues, and even life coaching. So here's our business model. You can see that you can do the sessions anywhere from $25 to $60. And we're cutting out healthcare insurance. This is a cash business only credit card. And we think it's very important that we're cutting out the healthcare insurance for 3 reasons. One, you don't have to worry about if your insurance is going to cover it or if your provider is in network. 2, there are a lot of people who need to get mental therapy but will not do it because they're concerned about filing their insurance that they're getting psychotherapy, and then their employer find out that they're having issues. And 3, even with insurance, when you're seeing a specialist, you still have to pay $50 copay out of your pocket. As you can see, we can do these sessions almost the same price as a copay and sometimes less. So we have the capability of storing, and we think that's very important because what we have in recording the video is we have a proprietary content management system. And what that is basically is that as the doctor's watching the video, and let's say at the 10-minute, 13-second mark, the patient says this, which is a sign of bipolar disorder or depression. They can actually tag and earmark that spot on the video. And then they can refer that video to another specialist, physician, and they can actually review it. But the content management takes the whole thing and reduces the hour down to just the tags. So it actually edits it down so it can only be 10 or 15 minutes, which saves a lot of time. Then the other thing is we want to be a library for education. Right now, if you are training to be a medical student or a resident to be a psychologist, you have to be in live sessions with a practicing psychologist to get your training. We think we want to be a library for videos. So if a student is training and they want to see login bipolar disorder, here would come 50 videos from the library that would already be tagged and earmarked with bipolar, people who have bipolar symptoms. But the issue is you have to be able to de-identify the patient. You can't have my face on there. And we've got several different ways technology to do that. One, you can substitute George Clooney's face on my face, which would be a lot better looking than looking at my face. 2, we can change the tone of my voice to make it either higher or lower. And 3, we can turn your face into an avatar, which would actually measure still your twitch in your eye, your smile, and all that kind of things. So, and then the most important thing is we have a technology that is facial expression recognition. And what you'll see here, and we'll play a 1-minute video, is there's 108 points on the face, and it looks like a hockey mask. And it measures any kind of change of emotion or facial expression. And let me play the video for you here so you know what it looks like.
Hi Mark, this is Jim Braun. I thought I'd give you a quick demonstration of 3D sensors and the technology that we could use in telepsychiatry. Currently, I'm hooked up to an Xbox Kinect sensor, inexpensive device, about $150 or so, I guess. There's a new version that's a true HD one that's coming out shortly. In any case, yeah, you can see there's an avatar on my left. I'm intentionally too close to the sensor right now so that it won't detect my face. But as I back up, you can see that it starts detection and picks up all the various 3D data points of the face, including the main one right there. in the center of the head, of course, the corners of the mouth, things like that. So if I turn my head left, or if I turn my head right, you'll notice it's actually even panning the camera a little bit too based on my head position. So it detects all these basically 3D data points and starts streaming them to the application on the left. We thought possibly in telepsychiatry there might be some way to analyze that data. At least it's displaying the avatar over there on the left based on the data points that it's picking up at the time. So anyway, I'm not sure if there's an application for this exactly or not, but I at least wanted to give you a quick demonstration of 3D technology in facial recognition and how it possibly could be used in telepsychiatry. Thanks.
Slide here. So basically, we want to democratize, commoditize, and ubiquitize online psychotherapy. Right. So that's pretty much it. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Mark, thank you. What we'd like to do now is go ahead and start taking questions. We'd like to begin with the panelists with a few questions before we open it up to the audience as well.
Hello, over here to your left. Your other left. There we go. Just a quick question. One of the things about this that struck me, and when I did some research in advance, was just about this program in general is about relationships. And I'm just curious about your team that you built and just why them and the credentials that make them the folks on your team that people are going to want to talk to. And just can you elaborate a little bit about how you chose them and picked them and vetted that group?
Sure. Well, first of all these people, they're not W-2 employees of Talk to Me. They're all practicing psychologists that have their own practice. So this is not for everybody. A lot of psychologists are against this, but these people were open to doing this, and sometimes you just have to get early adopters. But they're all they're licensed psychologists, they're all practicing, they have their own insurance, and so the model is we're just taking a fee from their service when they book it on there.
So is there anything that you did just kind of in the vetting process to validate the quality? I mean, their patients, their current practice, to make sure that you had the right folks on the team to do this with you?
Yeah, Dr. Farmer, which is the PhD psychologist, she actually has been doing telepsychotherapy for several years. She's actually used Skype, which if you know anything about Skype, it's not a private or secure network. And Skype is 15 frames per second. And the reason I mention that is our service is 30 frames per second. So with Skype, sometimes your lips move, but you don't hear the voice till later, or you get that robotic feeling. Because we're twice the speed as Skype is, it'll look like they're just in the right room. But anyway, Dr. Farmer actually has done this, and then the other two are eating disorder specialists, that's a huge market now. They handle all kinds of addictions. And then Life Coach, there's a huge opportunity for them because she's working with police departments to try to balance their life, and so. All these people are pretty progressive people, and that's how I picked them.
I got a couple questions. The price points seem extremely reasonable. I'm just curious about your revenue model. I assume it's a percentage off the top of those rates that we saw?
Right. If you go back, if you want a secure message, the doctor, it's $9 per week for 25 text messages or secure messages. We take 20% of that. On the hours or the sessions, we take a 10% cut on that. And then eventually we're going to have a forum up there where you can discuss different topics, whether it's marital issues, relationships, addiction, whatever it may be. And so to participate in those forums, you get 5 postings free, but then after that it's $9 a week to participate in the forum. So we've got 3 ways of doing that. And we also have if you go to our website and look at it, we also have a tab for recruiting other psychologists who are practicing, because we look at this as not a replacement, but more of a supplement, if you will, to their current practice.
We've got go ahead, Adam.
Oh, yeah. So my question is, it seems to make sense to do this stuff virtually, but I didn't see any numbers about the market or the industry.
That's a
Is
great
it
point.
growing?
Let me answer that. So I'll give you 3 examples, and they're somewhat direct competitors of mine. There's a company called Cope Today. They specialize in veterans and ones that come back from the war. They just sold in May for $30 million. There's another company called Talkspace. They just acquired $3.5 million in funding. If you go to their website, they have 62,000 users, and on the post, they have over 600,000 posts on there. And that's increased 50,000 in the last month. And there's another company called 7 Cups of Tea, and they just received $1.2 million in financing. So it's a fairly new market, but there are people out there that have been very successful at it.
So being in business development, I always try to think about the customer acquisition approach that a company is taking. Can you talk a little bit about, so if it's a growing market, what types of things are you doing to attract people to come in and,
Sure.
and pay you?
We just got the website up, completed about 2 weeks ago. We're in the process now. By the end of this week, we're hiring a SEO firm to do all the search engine optimization. We're going to do backlinks, and we've got a Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So we're going to try to get our leads through social media.
We do have a question here from the audience as well, Mark.
Sure.
Mark, I just want to throw, I think this is a great idea. As you know, with many of these things, it's sort of a catch-22. In other words, that your solution becomes stronger the more, psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists that you have on board, and the more patients that you have on board. One of the areas that it seems like it would even have the most potential, which you've suggested up there, is really in what we call the pre-depression, sort of phase. In other words, so where I see this actually having the most impact is before people get really ill. When they can call and have these conversations with someone that they're not in the same room with, and figure out, even if they should go for more sort of formal counseling, et cetera. So my question to you is, and a disclosure, Mark and I are good friends, but my question to you is, have you, how are you going to go about getting those sort of pre-folks? Like college campuses would be a big one that you think about, because, those kids don't want anybody to see them going into a psychiatrist's office, right? So that's a huge barrier for people actually getting the help that they need on time. And so this is really a huge preventative thing, is I see a huge market for you there.
Yeah, thank you for that question, because first of all, and answer your question, we're kind of the psychological light, if you will. On our website, we have a disclaimer. If you're suicidal or you have serious mental issues, this is not for you. This is to hopefully keep you from getting there. So there's a huge market for the underserved, which is the rural market. If you go to western Kansas right now, for 6 counties, there's not one psychologist. And if you're the local guy there, Bubba, with a pickup truck, the last thing you want to do is have your pickup truck parked in front of the doctor's office, where everyone knows Bubba's pickup trucks, and they say, "Hey, Bubba, I saw you at the psychologist's office. What's going on? Are you going crazy? You having marital issues?" So they could use this service. The other thing, as far as college students, two of the counselors here are eating disorder clinics. A lot of these college students come home for the summer, and then they go back to respective colleges. Well, they have to stop the therapy because they can't come back into Kansas City or wherever it may be to do the therapy. And they think this is a wonderful method to use this, because those kids, they're used to being on the computer, they're used to doing text messaging, And the thing is, they've actually done studies on this, that if you have an addiction and you fall off the wagon, you're more apt to text your counselor and contact them that way than to actually go into face-to-face to be judged by the counselor, to be embarrassed, and those kind of things. So, you know, even in my experience, when you go to a psychologist, they'll say, well, okay, we'll see you, in 3 to 6 months, your next appointment. But if anything happens in the meantime, let us know. Well, that's really not a continuum of care. What it should be is some way that you can either get online with your therapist or text message your counselor, because it's like I use the movie analogy. You wouldn't go to a 2-hour movie and see 3 pictures of the movie. 3 snippets or photos. You need to watch the entire movie. So to have a continuum of care for the patient, you need to be in constant contact with them. They need to be able to get on video if they can. They need to secure message you if you knew. And you really get a more full picture of the patient versus you coming every 3 to 6 months to see how you're doing.
Question here?
Yes.
Good morning. I want to say this is my first time here. I didn't know about this, and I was just excited. One, I actually have too many questions, but I'll try to limit them. One, I'm opening up a new office here come January, mental health. So I'm hiring some mental health counselors, et cetera. And you mentioned the fact that you don't do billing. I know that your doctors and LPCs, as well as your LISs and social workers, are already credentialed for billing, right? So my question is, using this for my office, how could I use it for actual billing? Do you have that component or idea for marketing later on in that idea? Because that's another revenue stream coming in.
Well, let me answer your question. First of all, with insurance, you cannot do it from your home. The patient either has to be in a hospital setting or a clinic setting. And so that's one issue. But there are 20 states, Missouri's one of them, Kansas is not.
Correct.
That they will reimburse for telepsychotherapy. So it is being done. Like I said, 20 states are there. I think all 50 states. Medicaid will actually reimburse on a federal level for this, but Medicare won't. So if you wanted to use the service and bill your own insurance company and do that, that's fine. We have no problem with that. We can do that. But the reason we cut out the insurance companies is they won't reimburse if you want to do it from your home or for text messaging. So if I sat there and waited for insurance companies to come on board or whatever, I'd be bankrupt. So that's why we're going the cash basis only.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, I've got a question in the back in the left here for you.
Okay.
I have a couple questions, but the first question on your revenue stream, it seems that you're trying to get patients or clients directly. Have you considered using employee benefit brokers and voluntary benefit brokers to sell for you? And how would you compensate them? My other question involves, this should be a huge deal as far as I'm concerned.
I like your thinking.
And I think, how are other therapists looking at this? And have you talked to other therapists about joining in on your system?
Let me answer your last question first. I wanted to start only with 4 therapists, and the reason is, as anything, you have to work out the glitches and work things out. Once we get those worked out, we are going to release nationwide, and our goal is to get somewhere around 30 to 40 psychologists on here to use it. So, it's like anything in, especially in healthcare. My background is I've been in healthcare for 30 years, a medical device, sell products in the operating room. I know with working with doctors and surgeons, healthcare is stuck in tradition. They will not budge, and they will kick and scream before they make a change. So you have to go and get the early adopters who are interested in this, because one of the things I did look is I looked at telemedicine. Well, the problem with telemedicine is the doctor has to poke on your liver, or he's got to take your heart, rate. With psychology, there's no difference in your method. You're still talking one-on-one, just like you're in the room. It's just the video and the technology has gotten so much better now. It's such a clear picture you can do that. So we will be adding more psychologists. I'm sorry, I already forgot your first question.
Asking about revenue streams using brokers.
Have you thought about?
You asked about the using employee benefits. I think that's a great idea. And if you've got any contacts with that, I'd love to talk to that. I don't know if that would be covered though, because it's not anything that's going to go through insurance.
I'm pretty interested in the competitive landscape. You listed a couple of them. Obviously, there's probably a couple of big players. One, who are those? And then what are your differentiators? Or is it just a big enough market to where you plan to take a little piece of it?
Who are the big players right now? There's no major companies that are into this. They're all pretty much kind of startups like this. It's usually one psychologist who's decided to bring in a bunch of other psychologists on board. If you want to look to see what kind of volume it is, you can go to Talkspace, and they've got a form in there, like I said, and they have 62,000 users, and the postings on there have been over 681,000 postings. And I watched that, and it's increased by 10,000 users in the last 30 days. And they've had over 100,000 postings in the last 30 days. So, there's really no big players in it, and so the market's wide open.
And feature-wise, I mean, is it literally as simple as creating an interface between a psychologist and a patient, and that's it? Or like technology-wise, is it that simple?
Well, it's not as easy as you would think it would be. Because I started on this.
Right, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, I started on it almost a year ago, and there's several pieces of technology in here. One, if you go on the website, we have a scheduler. We have the process of linking up to the video. There's different qualities of video out there, and we try to make the whole the process simple. Jim Braun is here on the front row. He's the technology person. He's the one you saw in the video. He's been working in content management and video for the last 20 years, is it? Okay. And so he's the one that developed the content management. And they took it from the sports arena, and he worked with K-State, where if you want to see a basketball player on the right side do a three-pointer, and what he did on the left side, he was able to take that content management and reduce it down so you could watch the entire season of that player. So we took that from the sports arena and applied it to the psychology. So as you're marking certain questions, and they have the capability on this video to type in notes, the psychologist does. And so they tag it. So at the 10-minute, 13-second mark, this patient said this, which is a sign of bipolar disorder. Not only is it tagged, you can go to that, and the technology reduces that down to the 15 minutes or just the tags. But we also think we have a unique thing with the facial expression recognition too. So no one has the content management that we're aware of, nor the facial expression. So that's kind of the differentiator for us.
Yeah, I just had a quick question, follow-up about your customer activity over here to your left again.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. And customer activity, do they meet once? Do they come back and multiple times? What are some of the things you're seeing as it relates to patient activity?
Yeah, in talking to the psychologist, if they get one patient from this, they're going to see them for 7 to 10 sessions. So if you look at a revenue model, if a patient's on there for $60 an hour, then they're going to do $600 in one patient. So it's not like you do one on and off. They're going to be usually doing continuous therapy for anywhere from 7 to 10 sessions. And starting out, we're not charging a subscription fee to the therapists because of they're the startup people, and we got to get the revenue coming in. But eventually, we're going to charge somewhere around probably $200 to $300 a month for the therapist to be on here as a prescription fee, because we're doing all the social media, we're doing all the marketing, we're bringing the patients in for them. One of the therapists just got her license. Well, for them to build a practice, it takes 1 to 2 years, and it's handing out business cards and putting, brochures out and all that stuff. Once we get this going, she'll be able to start a practice immediately. So there's another revenue model that I didn't even discuss, the charge of the prescription fee or subscription fee, and if they get one patient, which gets them $600, then to pay $200 a month is cheap.
Real quick, are you operational yet?
Our website just came up 2 weeks ago, so yeah, you could. We're waiting now to schedule.
So pre-revenue at this point.
Yes.
Okay. So I would just the thing that I would just stay. I learned the hard way is obviously work closely with your feedback from your customers to make sure that they get the experience they expect.
Okay. Thanks.
We're going to have to wrap it up here, Mark. What else can we do as a community for you?
If I just got the Facebook up a couple weeks ago. If you could go to the website, which is myonlinetherapynow.com, and if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see our icons for Twitter and Facebook. If you could just do me a favor and go to our Facebook page, talk to me, and like us. We're at 59. We'd like to be over 100. Twitter, if you wouldn't mind following me on Twitter. And I think we have a quote of the day. Even if you're not having any psychological issue, it's something you can look at every morning, kind of get you motivated and fired up. It's a positive type thing. And anyway, and just take a look at the website and let us know what you think about it.
Great. I'm sorry we ran out of time for some questions, so I would invite you to find Mark after the event is over to connect with him. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
We've got a few announcements, and one of the announcements that's not on the sheet is in 1 week after 1 Million Cups, we're going to have an event here in this space at 10:30 called EKC Explained, and this is where we're going to have a small panel of people who have used the services for entrepreneurs around the city, and they're going to kind of help explain what they've done and how they've used these resources. We get a lot of questions from people asking for some information on what resources are out there. And a lot of people come to 1 Million Cups looking for some of those answers. So I would invite you to, if you're going to be able to make it next week, to plan on staying another till about noon, I believe, for EKC Explained. There's information on the worksheet or on the announcement sheet from the in the center called Global Entrepreneurship Week. And I would encourage you to take a look at the kcsourcelink.com/GEW. That is listed here in the center announcement. If you didn't get an announcement sheet, we have them over by the coffee, and you wouldn't be interrupting us if you wanted to go grab one or on your way out. So I would invite you to do that. Also, we've got this Friday, we've got Get in the Ring. It's a North American Startup Clash event that's happening at the Midland Theater. This will be very interesting. And also, Compute Midwest is coming up on November 13th at the Kauffman Center. There's some information about it here as well. I don't know if you know this, but today is National Eat Healthy Day. And for some reason, it's also National Donut Day. I did not make that up. But if you're like me and you order a donut salad for lunch, I definitely encourage you to use the light vinaigrette. Okay. That's all I'm going to do for you today. Bob Stewart from iActing Studio is here. Moved from Burbank, I want to say, or your office was in Burbank? Okay. We kind of have a common background, actually, we realized. So Bob's got a very unique business, and he wants to share it with us. So let's hear it for Bob.
Hello. Welcome all you virtually as well as in person. My name's Bob, and I'm an actor, also an entrepreneur. And I have a company called iActing Studios, obviously. So, does anybody know what this is? Dreamcatcher. Native Americans thought that the Dreamcatcher would stop nightmares from coming into your dreams at night. I like to look at it a little bit differently because I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I like to look at the Dreamcatcher as something that catches your dreams before they leave. Everyone's got that dream, the saxophone in the closet, that dream of being the lead singer in a band, that dream of being an actor or a filmmaker, a director, something like that. Most people never act upon those dreams. And what I found is that when you act upon your dreams, a lot of things become possible. The dream. My dream, boy from Iowa, moved to Sacramento, worked in San Francisco as an actor, was to go to LA, become an actor and a director. Unfortunately, I also have that business side, so I'm an entrepreneur, and when I got there, I found out that the way things were done in casting was a little bit weird, so I built a company called Now Casting that changed the landscape of casting that's done now. However, my dream when I went there was I was educated, I knew what was going on, I did my research, and I got to LA thinking that I'm gonna nail this. It's gonna take me no time at all. Well, unfortunately, the reality is a lot different than the dream. There's a lot of hard work involved. The reality is there are over 250,000 actors in LA. The reality is that 50,000 actors go there every year, and 50,000 actors leave every single year, dejected, churned up, and their dream has escaped them because, of course, they didn't have a dream catcher. That's their fault. So it's important to know that the reality, everything's stacked against it. Now, people want to act. They want to act everywhere. Sometimes it's local theater. Sometimes it's doing in New York, Chicago. They all have different aspirations, not just professional. So the idea, anytime I have a question about something, I always go to the what if. I found this has served me pretty well, the what if idea. And the what if, all the actors could have gotten the education that I got in Los Angeles before they ever got there, from the best teachers in the world, to learn all the techniques, to be able to apply that where they are, and if they move to LA or New York or something like that, to be able to be better prepared and not go home with their tail between their legs, beaten down without a dream. So the solution was iActing Studios. We bring Hollywood to you. Come on, let's go. What happened? Next slide. What happened? All right, hang on. These things happen. Next slide's up. Did it go up now? Oh, sure. It went up just before I did that. Hang on. All right. Come on. There we go. Bringing Hollywood to you. There we go. The idea of iActing Studios was pretty simple. I'm going to bring this to everybody everywhere in the world. So being a typical entrepreneur, I kind of knew what I was going to do. I immediately proceeded to come on, let's go. Don't do this. Nope, that's not it. That's not the right one. And it's gone. What the heck? All right, I'll go with it. I immediately decided to remodel my office. I took 1,000 square feet, gutted it, and built a high-quality, high-definition studio, multi-camera, web stream, and the whole 9 yards so that I could record content and I could stream content to actors everywhere in the world. That is a picture of the studio. And I got actors. I mean, great teachers. That's Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. We got 50 of the best teachers in the world to come out and start recording their classes for us. I built a website. Very cool website. Looks pretty good. Try it for free, 2 free hours. Then I also did a video, which I'll show you real quickly here, just a small part of it, an excerpt from, assuming it works correctly. Let's go. Oh, really? Seriously? I do not. You know, we tested this. I swear to God we did. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay. Let's try this. Okay, it's not responding. Okay, fine. I had this all nice thing. Okay. So, I'm just going to close it. I'm going to wing it from here, folks. Sorry. That's what happens when you let it sleep. So it's a great video. And what the video did is it had all of our fantastic instructors, and they were telling you about their experience, 20 years teaching experience. They have thousands of IMDb credits. They are literally the best of the best teachers out there for teaching acting. And that's what we wanted, because those are the people you want to learn from. I put it all together. We've got a pricing plan available. This really is terrible. I can't believe this. All right. Just look at me. All right. So basically what we did is we brought the best people in the world together to be able to teach actors. We made some nice videos to promote this. We have the website. We went into beta launch last year. We learned a lot of things. We're ready for our full launch the beginning of next year. We have all sorts of different types of classes. You can literally learn. It's my open office. If you can get it to come back up again, go for it. But what we basically did is we have all types of classes. You can do pre-recorded classes. These are classes that are designed specifically to learn acting from watching them. We have local studios. We just opened up a local studio here in Kansas City. We've worked with the CAPS program. We're working with the Film Commission to try and bring this type of training and elevate the level of training here in Kansas, as well as Sacramento, and we're opening up one in Atlanta. Local studio basically is we bring all the students into one location, we bring the instructor in via video conferencing, and they teach the classes. It works really well. I had pictures of that and everything. It was great. We also have certificate programs. where they can, well, this is in development, we'll be ready for the launch, where they can get a certificate. Basically, it's going to teach them between pre-recorded classes, testing, one-on-one evaluations, one-on-one consultations. It's going to teach them the basics of acting. It's going to teach them certain disciplines of acting. We cover pretty much anything with acting. We do voiceovers, we do theater, we do, which is stage, we do commercials, we do industrials, we do auditioning, the art of acting in any way. We do the business of acting. And all those things that are all crucial for an actor to understand before they go to LA, or if they want to learn it where they are right there. How are we doing? It's going to load back up again. Let me see where we are. Thank you. Black screens. I'm not going to play the video because we're past that time. Okay, now we'll bring this one up. What the heck? We're in the middle of that. No, and now it flipped it around. Great. Okay, you see the little corner right there. Okay, this is just a nightmare, everybody. Okay, so we can learn. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. We've got pre-recorded classes, location, webinars and special events. We have virtual acting classes, which we're looking at getting students all around the world to log into their computers at the same time, work with the instructor, and then the instructor can teach them how to act, working with them one-on-one or two-on-two to try and create as closely as possible the virtual classroom. Certificate program we've got, virtual, and it's just stuck on that. That's great. Okay, forget that. I'm just going to unplug. There we go. No distractions now. So basically, that's it. Where we are now is we just started our beta, and we finished our beta. We're ready to go with our launch. We also, what about the other creative fields? Because you can go to lynda.com, and you can learn things. But what if you were golfing? And you could get Tiger Woods to be your golf coach. Or what if you were learning to play baseball and you could get George Brett to teach you how to play baseball? This is the same thing as that. Get the best of the best to come out to you wherever you are and make sure that you're learning everything you need to know. That's pretty much it. I had all sorts of cool things with Q&A and stuff like that, but I'm going to open up for questions now.
Bob, thank you. You did a great job without the technical difficulties there. We're going to actually start with questions from our panelists before we start taking questions from the audience.
First off, I remember meeting with you like a year ago, so it's cool to see
How's it going?
how far you've come. Yeah, and who better to have on stage when stuff screws up than an actor, right? Like working on your improv.
Yeah.
So my first question is, you went through beta, you're getting ready to launch your pre-revenue. What did you learn from beta?
I learned from beta, part of the certificate program, we learned from beta that we had too many options. We had over 150 classes. We had hundreds of hours of stuff. When people went to the website, they looked at this and they said, this is great, you've got all this stuff. Where do I start? And so I'm very much a logic brain person, so I'm like, hey, the more choices, the better. We found that actually less choices might be better for most people. So that's what was the icon of the bastion of the certificate program, to give them a track. We're also creating specific tracks for them to run. Like if you want to do, if you're a beginning actor, take this class, this class, this class, this class. Once they get the basics out of the way, then they can move on. If you're an intermediate actor, you can do this, 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 and this. So we're trying to suggest those class paths for them and fill their queue before they start, so it gives them a track to run on, because that was very important. They kind of wandered around and didn't quite get the concept.
And you know these people will pay.
Oh yeah, we're pre-revenue. We're not really pre-revenue because we launched it with money. So I mean, we have revenue. It's not what we want, but it's decent revenue. It didn't pay for the studio yet, but I'm hoping it will. It was a cool picture. The studio all ripped up. It was fantastic, guys. Fantastic. Use your imagination, people, please.
Yeah.
Back to you.
So what's your competition?
There is no competition. We are literally the first to market. There are a couple of small players in the industry. Their only goal was to try and get people to come with them coach so they could do one-on-one coaching. But for an actual virtual online acting studio, we are the first one. And while it's great to be first to market, being first to market also means you have to educate the market. While there is a need, you have to educate people on how to use it. You're the first one out there. You can't just base this on anybody else's concept. You have to build it yourself and make guesses and do a lot of market research and try and make the right choices. So there's a caveat to being first to market. Yes, it helps you be first to market. It helps you because you're the first one, but other people can come in and swoop down and say, hey, great idea. I'm going to do this differently based upon your mistakes. Now, barrier to entry is something that we talked about. All of our instructors that we have are all under a 3-year contract with us. So no one can poach our instructors. And they literally are the best of the best. We have people who literally wrote the book on acting that is used in universities across the world. Eric Morris was a great instructor, and he was, Johnny Depp mentioned him in his interview with Inside the Actors Studio. We have David Rosowski, who was the artistic director for Second City and worked with all the SNL clientele and improv and things like that. So we have Jason Alexander, we have Eric LaSalle. We have a ton of great people who are specialists in their field, people who have been casting and working in this industry for years and years and years.
And perfect segue to my question, which is that's obviously a great story to be able to tell and mention people that that are of that quality. But again, going back to so what now as you're getting ready to launch, how are you going to, I guess, fill that pipeline, get enough people coming through the door to the website to help justify the 3-year agreements with your instructors?
Right, that's a great idea. That's a great question. The key was getting to the right people. Part of the local studio idea was to generate some ground interest. And since I was here in Kansas City already, even though the business is in LA, and that's why we're in Sacramento, we're here, we're going to Atlanta. Those are all, at Kansas City I was here, and it's a great town, there's a lot of stuff going on. Sacramento and Atlanta have pretty good film commissions already going. They got a lot of industry going there, so that's gonna get the ground game going there. We have been generating through Facebook. We've been trying to focus on acting groups and affiliate programs. We do have an affiliate program now where we give percentages away to large companies that have actors. But that is the biggest challenge for us. The biggest challenge is how do you reach a demographic that spans all the different types of demographics out there. I mean, actors can be young, they can be old, they can live in Kansas, they can live in Iowa, they can live in the Netherlands, they can live anywhere. So we have a broad market. So one of the things we learned in our beta phase was we have to focus on certain areas and try and get the groundswell going to generate enough revenues to maintain our operations.
I had a quick question too. Just one of the challenges with online education in general is just not just the start, but completion. And I'm just curious on how you manage that through the process, because I mean, it sounds like from the beta test, you've kind of, I looked at the videos, there were a lot.
Yes.
So it sounds like that's changing. But so I'm curious about managing not just the start, but the finish, and ultimately how you measure the results of somebody that's going through the program.
Okay, what do you mean by finish? You mean how someone finishes the program?
Yeah, so I mean, if the end game is they're going to find work,
well, yeah, okay, all right.
That kind of, so what's the finish line look for the participants, and how would you measure those kind of results?
Well, the interesting thing with that type of thing, the demographics are all over the place. Ultimately, you have people who their one success would be to be in a local commercial in Kansas City, or they want to be a Broadway star, or they want to be a film star. So it is all over the place. That's one of the reasons we started the certificate program, was so that we could actually give them a sense of completion. So if you're doing the basic acting program, you're going to watch these videos, you're going to interact with this instructor, you're going to take these tests, you're going to be evaluated, and you're going to be graded with the pass-fail type of situation. Those will usually be about a 6-month program, because with the cost of education skyrocketing to $20,000, $25,000 a year, and let's face it, any sort of bachelor's degree in the arts is not really that well valued anymore. MFAs are not well valued that much. I know people that spent $80,000, $100,000, $20,000 in education, and frankly, they weren't any better off in that in LA than me, who didn't. So it gives them a sense of completion and it gives them a sense of understanding, but everyone's is going to be different, and that's why we're trying to give those specific paths to those people. That was the learning that we had from that.
Question in the center.
Yes?
Hi, my name's Steven. I do community outreach and events for Cinema KC, the Film Commission, and am also a member of the Independent Filmmakers Coalition. We would love to talk to you after this today.
Great.
There are a number of film events going on next week.
Actually, I'm coming to the IFC meeting tonight.
Okay, then maybe we will see you there. But that was one of the things one of the questions that I had is, how are you tapping into the local film community? We do have a very big, growing film community. We do about $160 million in film here in Kansas City every year. We have Google Fiber. We have the Digital Storytelling Initiative. To be honest, today is the first time that I'm hearing of your program.
Right, well, and we're new. I mean, we just started the Kansas City studio here. I'm an actor. I did Noises Off at the Barn. I've been starting to audition and network with actors in the last 6 months or so. So that's one of the ground games, is to see Kansas City has a lot of potential, but I think the training here is kind of, you've got a couple places, but they're not on par with what we can deliver. So our goal is to help work with the community here and educate them and get them better trained, so when we get more product coming here, when we get more films and TV shows that the Film Commission is trying to do, they're going to be better trained, people are more likely to come back, and they're more likely to hire actors here locally as opposed to bringing them in from out of the area. But it is a challenge because there was no central core here in Kansas City. There is one in Sacramento, there is more of one in Atlanta, but there's no central core here of actors. So that's why I'm kind of having to piecemeal things. KC Stage is okay, but it's not great. So there's really no one place to go to hit the actors. So it's kind of catch people and start word of mouth, which is exactly what we started now. Also, that's the reason why we worked with the CAPS program in Blue Valley School District, so we got a lot of people involved with that. That's a great program down there, Center for Advanced Professional Studies. So we are getting recognition, and we are starting to get the word out for the local studio here.
I talked to Andy at the Actors Training Studio here in town, too. He does a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but we're kind of, in some ways, Andy Garrison, we're kind of at competition for each other, in a way.
Except for you're online.
No, I mean, we have in-studio classes. We have studio classes. Literally, people come into our studio, and they just, the only difference is instead of me standing there teaching people, we have the instructors coming in with video conferencing. So it looks exactly the same as, just a big TV, about the same size, plop people in, it's on wheels. It's kind of like a little, like Sheldon when he did that robot thing on Big Bang Theory where he just wheeled around. It's just like that. The instructor's like that. They just can't reach out and touch you. So it is literally the same thing. So, yeah.
Bob, we've got another question here in the middle.
I enjoyed your presentation. I'm going to have to say my earlier questions were predicated on I am a doc, but I'm also a mom. And I actually had the experience of, say, evaluating this whole field and what was out there from the perspective of a 9-year-old this summer.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and I looked at your website before I came over, and I saw that you were offering classes for kids, and that's part of this question. I think what you are offering is very unique, and and definitely what I saw for the kids this morning was very unique. And this is coming from what some of the, quote, competitors are offering. And when I say the competitor, I want to give you a little bit of a horror story for those that haven't been through this with their kids may know. So there were advertisements on the radio this summer about, you know, if you bring your kid here, they audition, they read a part, and they can get in a Disney movie. Well, I would have never done that with my kid, but she heard it, and she wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So then you take your kid, they audition, and then they tell them, all this anticipation that they may hear about it the following day. And of course, they get called back. And of course, they're talented, and then you say no when they tell you how much they're going to charge you, and that they don't tell you who's teaching your kid.
Right.
Right, so anyway, it's a long-winded story to say there's a lot of stuff out there that's really not good for kids.
There's a lot of scams, a lot of people take advantage of it, especially with children and wannabe models and things like that.
Yes, and so, but the question that these groups were hanging out there was that they were going to get the kids in front of the directors. You know, so you do our class, we get you in front of the directors. You know, that's really what this is all about. And so I know you talked about the certificates. So and you've been out there.
I've been out there.
You've been in LA,
I mean,
and you know, you can be a great actor, but nobody sees you, right? And so what are you really, I know you talked about, you know, affiliating with these guys, but so how do you get that to your customers? You know,
well,
for the parent.
that's an interesting question. I mean, the thing is, to me, anyone who says they're going to get you work is lying to you. You don't do it. And I have to look at myself in the mirror every day. So I will never tell someone that. We're not about getting kids work. We're about training them so that they can get work in whatever markets they choose to. I'm not going to get someone to pay me lots of money, thousands of dollars, to go out here and meet these directors who would never, ever cast someone from Kansas City unless they're shooting in Kansas City. I'm sorry, that's the reality. Now Casting, the company that I have, we do online auditions, and we've been doing it for years. And we do, sometimes there are nationwide searches, and then you can submit yourself, then you have a chance. But as a rule, no, they're all scams, and I don't feel that way. I'm about training and educating the actors with the best possible information and teaching that they can get. That's it. I'm about training people so that if they do want to move to LA, we're going to increase their chances 100-fold because they know what's going on. They're going to have the training to do it. But we're not about making stars or anything like that. That's just the reality is that those are all scams, and I won't be party to that.
Bob, I got a question here in the center for you.
Yes.
I'm an individual that's worked a lot with tech startups historically, and I'd like to thank you at least for showing us what happens when good tech goes bad in a presentation, because that's something that most of us will run into from my experience at least. The second thing is, have you thought of linking the need that most startups have of producing promotional materials with the training of these actors?
Well, that's actually a good question. And with the proof of concept, if I can get iActing Studios to catch fire, which I'm hopeful I can. Right now I liken it to, it's a tiger by the tail, but the tiger's asleep, and I have to wake him up. So once he's awake, we're going for a ride. And when we do that, I have iFilmmaking Academy on tap, and I have iWriting Academy on tap. And by taking that pool, finally getting those three legs together, I think there is a way to be able to make content and be able to get people, no matter where they are, to be able to get better content or less expensive content, because we are all going to a new generation of everything is our phones, our TVs, our pads is all video, and it's all acting, and it's all writing, and it's all production. So generating media is huge. So if we can get into these creative fields, and there's really nobody in there doing what we're doing yet, so if we can get in there, then we're going to be creating pools of people throughout the world. Probably, I'm sure there'll be small pools in different places where we can then try and get them to start making their own projects. I mean, I'm a big advocate of an actor. If you're an actor out there, you need to go out and make your own project. Find people who have a camera, find people who have other stuff, and make your own stuff. That's the only way to get better, is by doing. Same thing if you're a filmmaker or if you're a writer. Write it, produce it, get it on the screen. That's what I'm a big fan of. So yes, absolutely.
We got a question right here.
Yeah, so as, I'm sure you would have shown it, but I pulled it up on my phone, your pricing model, which is recurring monthly revenue based on the number of hours of video they can watch. On here, and I was curious about this when I saw it, it says free classes. Why are they free, and how does that play into your business model?
Well, free gets people back to the website. When we offer promos for things, if we're taping a class at the studio, we'll put it online, and we'll offer some of them for free because it gets people to talk about us. We offer 2 free hours of training when you go onto the website. So if you go onto iActingStudios.com, you'll get 2 free hours. And so you can taste it and see. The pricing structure is going to change. The monthly subscription right now starts at $50. We have found, frankly, that people love discounts. And if you push out discounts, people sign up. So frankly, we're going to elevate our price and throw out more discounts. So it seems like that's just people like the Macy's deal. They'd rather go to Macy's. When Penny's tried this, they said, hey, we're not going to have any more discounts anymore. We're no sales. We're just going to cut everything down to price. Nobody went. It was a failed model because people like to think they're getting a deal. So that's part of our market. And then with the certificate programs, the pricing will vary with that.
Bob, I've got a quick comment for you. We talked about my background and your background, so we had some similarities. So I spent a lot of time watching acting classes, monitoring is the term, and the teacher often told people, you need therapy, so you should really connect with Mark. You could actually feed clients.
Well, actually that's true. Any actor probably needs therapy. If you're in this business with so much rejection, yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you very much, Bob, for coming out. The patented last question, how can we as a 1 Million Cups community help you?
I had a slide for that. I was ready, dang it. All right, first off, if you guys are interested in acting at all, if you've ever thought about voiceover or anything else, go to iActing Studios. This includes people watching remotely or anybody else. If you go there and you get your 2 free hours, I will give you a bunch more hours because I need feedback. I need feedback from people who aren't me. I'm a smart guy, but I don't know everything, and you guys have all different experiences, so I need the feedback. People locally, like Stephen? Yeah, Stephen. If you know local actors or acting groups, great. I need insight to that. I would definitely like that. If you know insight to groups that are national, that have anything to do with acting or performing arts or anything like that, would love access to that. Same thing with international. The other thing that I'm looking to do is I'm pretty new here, so I'm trying to find entrepreneurs that are like-minded like me, people who have been in the trenches, people that are trying to do something different, because I've always found, just like with 1 Million Cups, you bring people together and they start talking, you can generate better ideas. And part of here is to build my roots here in Kansas City, and part of that is to meet the right people, and I'm ripe for doing something new and something different. I love this, and we're seeing this through the completion, but a couple years down the road, I like to incubate things and get things going. So meeting people on that caliber as well would be greatly appreciated. And if you know a good PowerPoint person, that would be good. No.
Awesome.
So yes, there you
Cool.
go.
Thank you very much, Bob.
My information is there. Please contact me. And anybody wants to see me afterwards, I'll give you a card. All the information was on the slide.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for coming out. Same time next week. And if you'd like to present, go to kansascity.1millioncups.com. There's a big apply now button. put in your application. We'd love to have you up front here. As you're heading out, we've got one last little treat here. The Founders School just launched a new series. This one's called The Art of Startup Finance with venture capitalist and entrepreneur Bill Reichert. Bill's series covers how to get your venture's numbers right and why it's important for the overall success of your business, having your numbers right. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to show a little video here, and you guys can enjoy that and head out, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.
I spent most of my career as an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, starting up a series of software companies. Then in 1998, I got together with a few friends, and we started Garage Technology Ventures. Garage is a seed stage and early stage venture capital firm. We've invested in over 150 companies over the years. As a result, I have met with thousands of entrepreneurs, and I've learned a lot over the years about what it takes to build a successful high-tech company. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs put together their financial projections, run their financial reports, and realize that entrepreneurs could sometimes use some help with startup finance. I'm Bill Reichert, and I start up startups. If you're an entrepreneur, you've got to be more than just a visionary. You've got to be more than just a product guy. You've got to be a business person. And being a business person means that you pay attention to finance. That's what's going to make the difference to your investors and ultimately change your life for the better. You need to understand the underlying financial flows of your business. That's key to your understanding of how to manage your business. So, what we're going to do in this series is give you the tools of startup finance to help you manage and build your company.
Thanks for coming out, everyone. We'll see you next week.